Hey guys, I hope everyone's having a nice, relaxing Saturday. I've got some information that I can't even fully take credit for, but I do have some other information to add to it. And I want to encourage everyone to look at what I'm going to show you when I flip the screen around. Compare it with your store and see if you're being affected. Because if you are, you just might qualify to get your store fees refunded to you this month. So I learned this from Mailseum, the YouTuber, Mailseum. And basically in this video, he shows how a large number of his listings are kind of, he says they're being hidden. I don't know if they're there somewhere, but there's definitely some discrepancies between the active listings that you have in your store or his store, and then the number of active listings that customers are able to search on his storefront. All right, so I'm going to flip the camera around. I'm going to show you exactly what I mean, and then I'm going to tell you exactly what I did to get both of my store fees refunded for January. All right, so this is Maria's store. You can see that there's 4349 active listings when you're looking from your seller hub, but when you go here, you can see here that it's only showing 3,043 items. And then on my store, it's got 3,859 inside. And I'm pretty familiar with this number because every time you do a reset, and I'm going to talk about something that happened to me this week when doing my reset that is making me wonder, is eBay doing something in the back office, like behind the scenes, that is affecting the reset. So 3,859, but when you go here, it's only showing 3,339. So if those two numbers, if there's a big discrepancy between them, you're going to want to call in eBay and talk to them, and I'm going to tell you exactly what to say. All right, so another reason why you're going to want to call in is because you're going to want to get a ticket open so that your store is fixed. So when you call in, what you do is, and this is affecting people in US, Canada, UK, and Italy that they know of so far. So you call in and you ask the rep you click on your name, you ask them to click on your name at the top and go to your store. And then when you do that, it comes to the page where it's got the banner, it's got your name, and then it has the search feature. Below that, it has the featured categories of your store. So look at that number, have the eBay representative tell you what that number is. How many items are being shown or for customers. So you're looking at it from the customer view. And then at that time, ask the rep to open up a second browser, a second tab, and then go to your active listings inside your seller hub and ask him to tell you what that number is. That way he sees very clearly that there is a discrepancy between the two. And then at that point, you can word it however you want, but essentially remind them that you are paying for a service, you are paying for a store, and in that store, you're paying to have your items be seen at whatever store level you are at. And eBay is not fulfilling their part of the obligation to you. And for that, you would like to be reimbursed for this month's store fee, as long as this problem is an ongoing, and remind them that this is an ongoing known eBay site issue. So those are all the things that you need to say to be able to recoup this month's store. So I think that they said that this is something that's been going on since the 5th of this month. Now, in conjunction with this, so all of these things are connected. So Primo came on, he did a video today, he was talking about items being missing, and even I only got into a few minutes of that, and I still need to go back and watch it. I've had a busy day today. Wasn't planning on making a video this late on a Saturday night. But anyhow, so I did a reset either yesterday or the day before on my store. And, I know the number of every time I do a reset, I pay attention to the number, and then every time when I delete 200 at a time, and then when I sell similar, when I end 200 at a time, sell similar, I always make sure that number is back to the number that it should be when I started. Then I delete the 200 that I did, and then I just do it all over again. Well, I did it one time, and when I was selling similar, it was giving me some duplicate. It was saying that there were like some duplicate things that it didn't sell similar, all of them. So then I go back and I look at my listings, and there was like 5 or 6 more than when I started. So I was like, man, what's going on? So the listings that I wasn't able to sell similar, I went and I looked at those, and then I went on my my store to see if they had relisted, and they were there. So then I cleared all that out. So basically, at this point, I've got 5 or 6 more items in my store than when I started doing the complete reset. So I had to go through, and I sorted in my back office my active listings. I sorted them by name. This is how I do it. Maybe there's an easier way to go through your entire store of 3,800 listings to see if you have any duplicates. But this is the way I do it. If anybody has a better way, please let me know. I sort by name, and then I just scroll, and I look. What I'm looking for are 2 identical pictures right in a row. That's the only easiest way that I can visually just scroll down. And I didn't get, I can't remember if there were if I found 3 or 4, but at the end there was still like a discrepancy. And, I'm concerned about it, that my numbers didn't quite completely match up, but I don't know what's going on. And I didn't think that this, I just thought something happened on my account. I didn't think that this was something that was happening store-wide. Now, I was only halfway through my reset at that time, so I stopped doing any further reset on that store. And I'm like, well, I need to reset Maria's store. So I went over there, and I ended up doing the reset on that store, and I didn't have any issues. One other point that I want to make with when I call it into the rep, and I think this seems to be important, is she asked me if any items had been relisted within 24 hours. And I said, I don't think so. And I went and I looked, and I'm like, no, everything is more than 24 hours old. Like I had created a couple new listings late last night, but nothing had been relisted. So she said that if anything, for example, if you've done a reset, an end and sell similar on your store within 24 hours, I would wait until 24 hours at least goes by before calling in and then checking, because she said that sometimes those numbers may take up to 24 hours to get completely in line. I don't know. I mean, I thought that was kind of weird. But, this whole thing has got me thinking, is eBay trying to do something to make the eBay reset less effective? I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. I don't have the answer to a lot of things, right? And I'm not here trying to position myself as a guru. I don't know a lot about what's going on, and a lot of that is because I'm not told. We're not being told by eBay. We're left out here on eBay Island trying to haphazardly guess and theorize and hypothesize as to what's going on. If somebody's out there acting like they know exactly what's going on, I don't know. I don't know where they're getting their information. And if they're not saying where they're getting their information at, well, then I don't know how you can trust it. I want to give a shout out to Polish Pete for the video that he did the other day regarding his theory as to why our sales have seemed to have just died. I think there's some, again, we don't know. We don't know, but I think there is some merit to that. But first, before I get into that, I want to talk about my numbers from just this month, and I want to compare the first 13 days of this month to the first 13 days of December, and then I want to compare the first 13 days of this year to the first 13 days of last year, and because they're two very different numbers. And keep in mind, and I encourage you guys to share your numbers in the comments below. Do those two, month to month and then year to year, and share that. And let's see if we have some common themes here. Common themes, because the bottom line is, it seems like the majority of people out there have seen a massive decrease in sales starting from the first. And sales don't just die overnight. We all know this. This is all too familiar. What happened in April? It's not your stuff. It's not your store. It's not what you're selling. I lost a train of thought here. Oh well, it'll come back, or it won't. So when I compare January 1st to January 13th, oh, I know what I wanted to say. January is normally my best month of the year. So for those of you who say, oh, you're comparing, December is normally one of my softer months. Now, December ended up being my best month of 2023. January was like $100 below that. So both of those months last year were phenomenal. So I think that that's important, because I generally have really good Januaries. So when I compare the first 13 days of January to the first 13 days of December, I'm down 50%. That is massive. When I compare this year to last year, so the first 13 days of this month to the first 13 days of 2023, I'm down 22%. Not as bad. But again, what does that tell you? That tells you that January is normally a pretty good year, and that something happened this January to derail earnings for me, and probably for you. Okay, so on Maria's store, the first 13 days of January compared to last month, the first 13 days of December, I'm down 24.6%. The first part of this year compared to the first part of 2023 year, I'm down 4.5%. So that makes sense. So for some reason, Maria's store is doing a little bit better. All right, so here's what I think. Here is what I'm speculating as to what's going on. I think that when Pete said that when the ad stopped, and we don't know what percentage of people were doing it. Maybe it was more than I think, or maybe it was less. But regardless, I think the part of it that really clicks and makes sense for me is, let's say 100% of the site was taking advantage of the off-site free Google Ads promotions, while I only had 2 sales that came to my store from my clicks. I could have received other traffic from other people's clicks who went to their listing, but then looked down below their listing and saw my listing in their sponsored ads, and I could have gotten a sale from that. I could have gotten a number of sales from that. But someone else paid for that Google Ads off-site click. It only makes sense that if X amount of people were taking advantage of the off-site ads promotion, that anybody who participated in the promoted listing standard would have received a few extra sales here and there. Maybe it ends up being a lot more than we think. The problem that I see happening is that when I sell 2 items that net me $86, but then I've paid $58 in, clicks to net myself 30 some dollars, that is a horrible investment in advertising. So I'm never going to do it. And if this is the new reality, it's going to be a tough go on eBay. Now, I know that eBay had been previously allowing I don't understand that side of it. I'm not going to claim that I don't know how much eBay was paying out of pocket to get items seen, but that was also part of the whole contract that we had with eBay. And that was what justified them taking whatever they took in final value fees. So to say that eBay is doing a cash grab by, making us do promoted listings and then trying to get us to do offsite ads and whatever other fees they want to do down the road, that's a bit of an understatement. There is a massive cash grab going on. Now, to say that eBay's expenses hasn't gone up and that now we need to share some of that burden, I'm not naive to say, okay, things, but they're not communicating. They're not communicating with us what they need from us. They're doing it in a way where it seems very shady, and it's difficult for us to really trust what's going on because we don't actually know what we're getting for our money. They're calling promoted listings advertising where really it's just placement fees. And they're also banking on sellers getting desperate and trying to out promote with this race to the top when it comes to advertising fees. So I was having a conversation with Patricia the other day, and we were kind of talking about, because I still see my stuff on Google. Like if I go out and I copy my exact title, like mostly for kind of like more obscure things. And I mean, I think when Pete did his video and he was talking about how Google had stopped doing the offsite promoting, I don't think he means that eBay is no longer, having their items on Google. The items are still on Google. Like it's not like they've taken them all off at one chunk. Like everything is off. I don't think that that's what Pete was suggesting. And I don't think eBay would do that, because if they did that, then I think their earnings would also dramatically, just massively drop. So when I was talking with Patricia and I ran this scenario by her, she's like, I think that's what they're doing. And I kind of think this is what they're doing as well. I think they are slowly, incrementally and I don't know how they're doing it. Again, this is pure speculation. I don't know if they're doing it by sellers or if they're doing it by like a portion of each seller. But I think that they're slowly, picture this mad scientist like having all these levers, and they're like, okay, we're going to lower the amount of these listings and we're going to take them off of Google. And what our hope is that the sellers, so eBay is lowering a certain amount of listings, making them not available to be seen on Google, so that sellers get desperate and up. So here's eBay lowering and the sellers are upping their off-site promotions. And I think that they're going to slowly be doing this balancing thing, so once eBay determines that, okay, we seem to have a base of sellers who are willing to promote offsite at this amount, then they're going to take more. They're going to take more items off of Google. And so ultimately, and I don't know how long this is going to take. Maybe it takes 6 months. Maybe it takes 2 or 3 years to get as much of eBay's responsibility to pay for advertising for our items and to push that burden on sellers. I hope this makes sense. It makes sense in my mind. And so eBay will increase their earnings by not paying for off-site advertising, pushing sellers to do that, and through promoted listings. All the while, sellers are gonna, they're gonna realize at some point, and they're already seeking alternatives to sell on eBay. So let me give you an example. This might not be the best example, but somebody had added this to their watch list, the other day. And I looked at it and I was like, it's just this is Arthur. Oh my God, it sounds like Elmo. This is Arthur. And the only reason I know who this is because my youngest was a fan of this particular character. I had this listed on eBay and I was like, I had the wrong shipping on it. And, somebody offered me like $15 and I would have made barely anything on this because I legitimately would have paid like another $7 in shipping. I've had this for a long time. Believe it or not, I took it down from eBay because I'm like, I don't want to sell this on eBay anymore. It doesn't make sense. I listed on Facebook Marketplace. In 2 days, I had somebody, they're gonna buy it tomorrow. I'm going to a comic convention tomorrow. He's gonna meet me there, and he's gonna buy it for $25. So I'm actually making more, paying no fees on it because it's through Craigslist, and it just blows my mind. But the point is as eBay pushes the burden of, I've often asked in the past, what do you think eBay's end game is? I think it's probably 30 to 35% with the hope of more, right? They want to get 30 to 35% of the total transaction of everything that sells on eBay through final value fees, through promoted listings and offsite ads. They want to bring their burden down on advertising, and with the potential for more, meaning if sellers get really desperate and they up their promoted listings to extravagant levels to make sales, at some point there has to be a balance. There has to be a balance to allow sellers to be able to have income coming in, pay their bills, to source and buy more inventory. It's just, there's just some it's a really tough environment that we're in. All right, I want to end this video by sharing some information from another video that, and I'm going to encourage you guys to go watch this. I will link this in the description. It's from my YouTube channel called Logically Answered. And the title of the article is, the video is What Happened to eBay. And in it, he kind of just recaps. It's a quick watch, but if you've sat through the last 10 months, and we're almost approaching 10 months from April 1st of all this stuff that we've gone through, this is a really interesting video because in it he spews out a bunch of facts. For example, facts like, in 2009, there was 2.1 million sellers. Now there is 18.3 sellers, so there's 9 times the amount of sellers. In 2013, the GMV was at 76 billion. In 2022, it was at 73.9 billion. So the GMV has gone down, and that's not even factoring in inflation, which it could be as much as high as 30 to 40%. So what that means is the GMV for 2022 could be as much as 30 to 40% less than what it is. So it's declining significantly. It's a really good watch. I'm not really doing a really good job of recapping it, but basically he kind of says some things that I have said over the last few videos or a few videos ago about how eBay has a real identity problem. Like they want to, and in the video, he basically says how eBay wants to charge Amazon and Walmart type fees for Craigslist and marketplace type value. And the fees are only getting significantly worse. And he goes on to state that as if this was a new business idea that was, coming to start a business like that right now, it would never make it. The only thing that eBay has going for it is their name brand, is their brand recognition, and the existing customers that it has. And it's like I still feel like there is an alternate reality where eBay actually embraces what it actually is and thrives in spite of that. Whereas instead, it's like eBay is never going to be Amazon. And everyone knows it. But that's okay. It doesn't have to be Amazon. To sum up this video, he illustrates how eBay used to be the most dominant online retailer and how it's basically resorted to milking its sellers for as long as it's possible because it sees it's almost as if eBay sees the writing on the wall and they're just along for the ride now, and they're upping the fees as much as they can to get as much out of us instead of trying to bring in new buyers. So I definitely highly recommend checking this video out. It's a quick watch, but I think you'll find it very interesting. So with that being said, good luck on, hopefully your store doesn't have any issues that you don't need to call in. Again, I'm thinking if you don't do end and sell similar, it's possible that you might not even be affected by this, but you might be. I don't know. I can't say. I would suggest checking it out and seeing if all of your items are actually showing up. If it's not, give them a call. And if you found this video helpful and you want other people to be aware of it, definitely push this out there, feed that YouTube algorithm, and get the word out there for other people so they can check it out. And you definitely call into eBay and get your store feedback if basically they're not fulfilling the contractual agreement of what you have as an eBay store owner. All right, guys, we'll talk to you guys soon. Have a great weekend.